Hello, our dear viewers. It's a pleasure to come into your homes once again after some sort of a break that we had. We've really missed coming to your homes with another episode of your favorite show, Teens Connect. Today, we've got a very, very interesting topic, and I'm sure it has been worth the wait because it's going to be very informative and very educative. And discussing a topic that you would wonder, why should this be discussed? I mean, it's not worth discussing. It's just a trivial issue of life, but it is one of the 10 commandments, and so it is worth discussing, especially since it's something we as teens do every day. We are discussing lying. Is it always black and white that it is always bad? Or there are some situations where lying is a little bit acceptable, for the greater good. I mean, there's some situations where lying is acceptable. I am your host, Kofi, and today we've got a good, interesting host of panelists and a resource person to help us carefully digest this issue. We have Mrs. Anita Mills, and I would like you to get to know more about her.
Mrs. Anita Pukua Mills is a young woman who finds fulfillment in service to God and man. For the past 3 years, she has been assisting ADRA Ghana in its developmental and humanitarian mandate as an administrative assistant on the UNHCR ADRA Livelihoods Project. She enjoys good quality, mind-elevating music, something she credits her late father for, and is blessed with a voice as well. Apart from music, she enjoys healthy, tasty meals, intelligent conversations, dancing, reading, and family time. Anita's most cherished virtues are excellence, honesty, and humility. She sums up her journey as the ultimate pursuit to be and not just belong. 3 words she believes define her are simple, realistic, and misdirected. Life, she says, can sometimes be discouraging and torturous, but Anita is motivated by these 2 things, her husband and desire to give Jesus a big hug one day.
Alright, so Mrs. Mills, from your resume, we saw that you are working with ADRA Ghana. Why humanitarian work? What motivated you to get into that line of work?
Okay, so first and foremost, I joined ADRA Ghana through the volunteer service program. That's the Adventist Volunteer Service Program, which was initiated by ADRA Ghana. So I would say that my joining ADRA Ghana wasn't deliberate, but most definitely it's God's plan. And so it's been rewarding so far, knowing that you are a part of a cause to change the lives of people positively. So like I said, it wasn't a deliberate plan. I never saw myself joining the NGO or the humanitarian aspect, but I am here.
All right, we thank God. You like changing lives. As Hope TV, our mantra is changing lives, and so it's a pleasure to hear that somebody is interested in changing lives. But I don't know how to put this, but have there's this person, people you respect, or yourself, your friends, have you ever been around them and they told a lie, or they asked you to tell a lie? Do you remember a situation like that?
Okay, so there have been countless occasions where we've had to tell a lie in order to protect someone from some trouble. Let's see, a teacher punishes a class, and you are tasked to overlook the activity they are supposed to do. Then you testify that one friend or the other was present and helped in performing that act, even though the person wasn't around.
Yes, that's the situation where you've been asked like, Nancy, have you seen somebody lie before? Your mother, I didn't see your mother. Your mother doesn't lie. I didn't say that, please. But have you seen somebody lie and you know very well they're lying? Has it happened to you before?
Yes, she was right beside me and she was lying.
Hey, who is the she?
It's this friend of mine.
Okay.
She was on a call with someone, I think a sister or something, and she was like, oh, I'm coming, I'm almost there. Meanwhile, she was sitting there. It doesn't look like she's still making like an attempt to even go.
You see, secret of this I'm coming. I was it reminds me of a scenario where you were at home and received a call, and I think we're supposed to go somewhere, and then the person asked, "Where are you?" Like, "Oh, we're on the way. We're on the way." But the person who received the call forgot that the call was on the landline. So if you are using the landline, how are you on your way? You see, but it's something that you lie without noticing. Mrs. Mills, I'm sure you are much older. Growing up, how was it like? Were you ever asked to lie for somebody or something of that sort?
Most definitely. One prominent scenario was there was a time when my cousins and we wanted to pluck some pawpaw, and you know sometimes the tree is planted in someone else's house, but the fruit hangs over. And so one of my cousins wanted to pluck the pawpaw and had to climb the wall. Unfortunately, she fell and had some bruises. So the plot was that we should lie that the dog was chasing her and she fell. But clearly the injuries were beyond just falling. So I remember my auntie cornered me with some yogurt and asked me, tell me the truth. And because of the yogurt, I forgot about the plan and just reviewed everything. So that's one of the my experiences with life.
I see. Roland, I'm sure you have an experience. I'm not sure it had to do with the dog or pawpaw, but what was your experience with lying?
Yeah, I mean, lies, everyone tells lies. One of these days, like, I mean, you can't say ever since you came to this world, you've never lied before. And here's a case that right now, being in the senior high school, and when you are with boys, exactly, there is something called like a no snitching policy. So if you are supposed to work, let's say on a particular plot, and then you don't, and you know when they come, by all means, they write names and stuff. So they'll be like, did this guy work? Because you know he's your close friend. I mean, you don't want him to get into trouble. So I think we all lie to save that person's life. Because in the end, you do the same thing for them.
I see. That's very interesting. So we are saying lying, but what actually is lying? Reynold, can you help us with the definition of lying from the English dictionary? What is lying? What does the word lying actually mean? Reynold?
So, lying, deliberately being untruthful.
Deliberately being untruthful. So does that mean that if what do you think? If I say something that I think is true, that is not true, does that mean I'm not lying? Since I'm not deliberately being untruthful. Nancy, what do you think?
I think that's the misinformation.
Yes.
So it's not lying.
No.
But you are not telling the truth. Okay. So does that mean that if I say something, I don't know whether it's true or not, but I say it and it happens that it is not true, does that mean I'm lying? Because I'm not deliberately being untruthful. Nancy, what do you think?
If you didn't hear it, well, why do you want to talk about it?
No, but let's say here's the case I've said it. Does that mean I'm lying or not?
Oh, no, I don't say you're lying because you didn't know.
Okay, so in terms of ignorance, God
Yes,
forgives.
yeah.
Exactly.
All
I
right.
think the focus is on the intention. So like she said, like Reynolds said, sorry, it's you share information based on what you know. But when you deliberately withhold the truth and you are selective of what you say, that is when you can say it's a lie.
All right. But you see, from all your experiences, I heard somebody saying you lied to protect your friend. Why do people lie? Why do people lie at all? I mean, why lie? Reynolds, why lie?
Sometimes we lie to avoid some punishment.
So you lie to avoid punishments. Nancy,
In my case, the lie was like something to comfort her sister. Like, oh, I'm coming, so don't worry, I'm almost there, don't worry. As she has said it, I don't think the sister will call again because, oh, she's almost there.
when she's actually not almost there. So
Yes.
lying to comfort people and to give people hope. Roland, why do people lie?
I think normally people lie because they are scared.
Scared, out of fear.
Yeah, out of fear. And if you've done something wrong and then you know, no matter what you do, this is the outcome. I mean, you are going to face the consequences. why not lie to get yourself out of the trouble? So I think that's one of the reasons why people lie.
I see. So when you're afraid, that's the first thing that. Are you sure it's part of human nature?
Yeah.
Lying is it something that comes impulsive? I mean, when you're under pressure, I don't think you think of telling the truth. I do. Mrs. Innes, what do you think? Is it part of human nature? Especially when under pressure.
I agree with them. Usually we lie for convenience sake. I mean, that's the easiest thing to do, and also for temporary relief. And we are fearful of the fact that if we tell the truth, the consequences will be unbearable. So what's the easiest way out? Just lie and then escape. So these are some of the reasons. I think it's human nature to choose the easy way out. And it seems lying often is the easy way out. I mean, I just cook something up and go. If I tell the truth, chances are that I'm going to be punished. Chances are that I'm going to have to deal with something that I'm scared of. And so the best way is to just cook a lie and then
get out of it.
Yeah.
But what does the Bible say on lying? Has anyone read anything that the Bible says on lying? What's the Bible's view on lying, Nancy?
I don't think I've come across the Bible saying that. No, actually, it's in the 10 Commandments.
That we should not lie.
Yes. Thou shalt not bear false witness.
Were you coming to say that if you don't think the Bible says you shouldn't lie?
Oh, no. I was going to say, maybe it's there, but I've not seen it.
Okay.
I think I've come across, like she said, in the 10 Commandments, we are admonished not to bear false witness. And also in Proverbs, we are told that God detests a lying tongue. The same Bible tells us that God does not lie. The Bible also tells us where lies originate, which is the devil. And so clearly the Bible is against lying.
So you said you shall not bear false witness. You know the Bible said bear false witness against your neighbor. So does that mean you can bear false witness for your neighbor?
Most definitely no. That's why we have other instances like in Proverbs. It says a lying tongue. Over there it's not restricted to against the neighbor, but anything that is untruthful, anything that deviates from the truth, anything less of it is a lie, and God detests it.
Okay, so Kofi, she said something. She said God does not lie. So when God told Adam that if you eat this, you won't die. You will die.
But it's Adam
was that
living.
A lie?
You know, Adam is not dead. Adam is dead. I mean, he's not living right now.
But
so.
it's not like instant death, you understand?
God didn't talk of instant death. He didn't say you die.
You die then. He said you will die.
Well, let me come in. So the instance, it's as though often when we are told the consequences of an action, we have a perception of how the consequences should look like, and so it looked as though at that time what God said was a lie, but eventually we can attest that what He said eventually came to pass, and here we are. We have death all around us. So sometimes we are tempted to lie because what we assume to be consequence we don't see. So for example, if your mom says, oh, if you touch the fire you will be burnt, you try it, you don't touch, you don't get the burn, but eventually it can happen, and when it does happen it will be too late.
I see. That's very, very, very interesting. Roland, you want to say something?
Yeah, I got a question. When the devil said, he told Eve that if she surely eats of the fruit, it's like her eyes will be open. She will know the difference between good and evil. Did he lie? Because eventually, she knew the difference between good and evil. Good and evil when she ate the fruit.
Yeah.
So
that means in that instance, what God said looked like a lie.
Lie, yeah.
Asking what?
It's confusing.
They didn't think of the long term.
Yes, because He said, "You shall not surely die." You shall.
And that's
not.
where the lie is. The devil tried to downplay the what God had said. You shall not surely die, to make it appear that you could still disobey and you achieve that wisdom that she wanted.
And you still live.
At the end of the day, you will not surely die. It's like the devil has given a classic example of what lies are about. It's half truth and half lie. So he will not tell you you won't die, but he will tell you, oh, something like death. for you
Something
to
like that.
Something like
But
that.
at the end of the day, it's a lie.
Yeah. I get that point, but now let's come to something. You don't have to actually say it for it to be a lie. How about lying in body language? For lying in body language, I mean, if someone asks for something, I can give them a sign as though it is true. I mean, is that still lying? Because you shall not bear false witness. Am I still lying as the Bible says? Nancy, what do you think?
Yes.
Why am I still lying?
Because I'm not being truthful. Even though you're not saying it with words, you're not being like one example is a fake smile. Yes, that's one example.
So if I smile, if I give you a fake smile, it means I'm lying.
Yes.
Yes.
You are not even happy with like
You are
what I'm
hiding
doing.
your real feelings. So
Yes,
that's the
you're
thing.
hiding your.
It means there's more to it than just saying like, because
Yes.
giving a fake smile. So when my mother says, "Are you okay?" and I smile, does that mean I'm lying?
Yes.
Well, when it comes to lying, it goes beyond words. It relates to communication, and like you were saying, your gestures. So, are you okay? Deep down, you know you're not okay, but you say yes.
But but in such situations, well, does that mean that every time I'm not okay and somebody else say, am I okay? Must I say yes? I mean, to everybody.
You can decide to say, I don't want to talk about it, or you can find a way of saying, I just need some time. I understand sometimes you are not in the mood to share how you feel at that time, but it doesn't give you the reason to lie. You can say, you know what, please just give me some time. I'm not ready to talk about it. Okay, but we are very, it's a common lie with, are you okay?
Yeah.
But deep down, your face is saying one thing, and then your lips are also saying another thing.
Okay, that's something that they taught us to lie, because in school, when they ask you how are you, they told you that you say, I'm fine, thank you, how about you? So that means that all the children in school, when they're not fine, it means they're obviously lying.
I think with regards to that, we have just learned it as a sort of greeting. So when we are responding, we are not necessarily relating it to how we feel. It's just like good morning, good morning. So I don't know about you, but growing up, we were taught that it's courtesy. It's just being polite. So, you are just saying I'm fine. But deep down, we don't really relate it. It's when you grow up and you realize that no, you are not fine. So why should you say you're fine? But someone may also take it as rudeness. But if you genuinely say I'm not fine, the person may think you're being rude. So in an attempt to just keep things cordial,
you lie.
Yes, just lie.
So you are saying that in that case, it's good to lie, to say I am fine when you are not fine. Is that what we are suggesting
Not
over
at
here?
all. Not at all. Lying is wrong.
Okay.
And being wrong, it is because God has established it that way. I think it's important for us to understand that the fact that we do it doesn't make it right, even if it gives us some form of relief. Because clearly, lying will give you that temporary relief, but let's admit it, after you have lied, what goes on in your head? The guilt. And sometimes you have to keep creating more lies in order to keep that lie going. And so lying is not in any way right, even though it's something we do. And I think that it's important for us to understand that, like the scenario where the enemy or the devil said, you shall not surely die, that is how we often address our lies. We think that, oh, I can lie. Mommy, I'm not the one who took it. And mommy says, okay, it goes. But as time goes on, eventually you are going to lose trust, which is very hard to gain.
Okay, so we are venturing into the consequence of lying. That would go later, but I think Reynolds has a contribution to make to the discussion.
Sometimes you lie because people don't believe the truth. Let's say this scenario, you're at home and maybe your food is ready, you are going to eat and you're asked to serve yourself. Then your mom tells you that, tell your little brother to take, let me say, 3 pieces of chicken. And you tell him, it's like, every day I take one. And you're like, okay, she said take one. You see, you lie because initially you told the truth and people didn't believe it. So then you just...
Okay, that's interesting. But let's look at this. Reynolds was even telling me this before. I mean, sometimes our parents, they lie to us. I mean, whoever asked their parents where the babies come from when they were young, what answer did he get, Nancy? What answer did he get when he asked that question?
I've never asked, but those I hate, they were all lies.
What did he hear, for instance?
One was like, oh, when you get married and then you pray, then God will give you.
but that's not a lie totally. I mean, I only want to mention the details here, but well, anyways, to some extent, I heard that God will put the baby in your stomach, but it wasn't God who put the baby in the stomach. So, how about that? I mean, sometimes you have to lie because the person doesn't need to know the information. It's like the how are you situation, but this one's a bit different because one day you'll find out that babies weren't put in the stomach by God, and so does that mean that you lose trust with your parents because they've lied to us in so many occasions? How does that impact us, Roland? Our parents lying to us?
I think most of the time when they lie, it's for our own good. As we said earlier on, some people cannot bear the truth. So maybe the only way they can, like the baby instance right now, where do babies come from? At a tender age, if you are like 3 years old and then mommy or daddy tells you that this and this brought you into the world.
What is this and this?
You understand.
I mean,
so don't share.
If your parents tell you that there were certain things I had to do that brought you into the world.
Okay,
so something like that, then you just leave the child wondering, what exactly did mommy and daddy do? But then mommy and daddy don't want you to think at this like age, and they don't want you to stress yourself on something like this, because eventually when you grow old, you get to know. So you cook up something just to tell.
So you're lying for the greater good. Is that right? Nancy, do you think it's right? If your little brother comes ask you, or for example, they ask you, if somebody's child is in prison, they ask you, where's daddy? And you are telling them, how do you call it? He's gone somewhere, or he's traveled. That's a big lie. I mean, do you think those ones are good, Nancy? Are they acceptable?
They are lies, but they are good.
They are, what is the
How can you
lie?
tell me that my father is in prison? I'll be. I just can't stand it. So I honestly do something to really hurt myself. So it's just good to lie. Yes.
Okay, so what thoughts do you have on this one?
That's a pretty interesting contradiction. In the sense that yes, very often our parents want the best for us, but it doesn't always mean that what they do in order to get the best for us is right. Okay, yes, at that age, explaining the process of how a baby comes would be too much. I think lying is not the best way. Perhaps we could just let the younger people understand that some things are not meant for you. Maybe
But
when
you can't. I don't think you can tell a 5-year-old that this is not meant for you to understand. They'll keep pestering you about it.
Sure, but at the end of the day, even in adulthood, you don't understand everything. Okay, there are certain things that you come to understand when you experience it, or when you get to a point where you are mature enough. So we need to let younger people understand that the fact that you have curiosity doesn't mean it should be satisfied there and then. There are certain things you have to wait to understand. And you asked the question about the impact of parents lying on our lives. That is the reason why lying is still ongoing, because that is what we come to know. Daddy is doing it, mommy is doing it, and so there's nothing wrong with it. And so we also carry it on, we also have our children, and then it keeps going. And because of that, we seem not to have the moral right to say lying is not good, because everybody's doing it. But at the end of the day, lying is bad. And like my younger sister said, how do you tell a child that your father is in prison? Sometimes we think that by withholding the truth, it helps. But sometimes you need to let the person know, maybe in a much better way. For example, bereavement. You can't go and tell somebody your father is dead. It's too, harsh. What do? You find a wiser way to tell the person. So you can tell the child that, okay, daddy is away for 1 or 2 reasons.
Isn't that lying?
And you are just telling the person that daddy is away, okay? And you'll be amazed that even younger people will better accept the truth, because in this world and age, they are aware of jail, they are aware of all those things. Yes, it will have some consequences on the child, but it's better you let the child know somehow without lying than for the child to find out in another way. That's my opinion.
Okay, so let me come to you and put you on the spot. Let's say your 3-year-old cousin comes to you. Sister, please, how do you explain? I see that mommy has a baby in her stomach. How did the baby get there? I mean, without lying, how are you going to answer that question?
Of course, I'm going to let her know that first and foremost, mommy and daddy have the baby as a result of the love they share. I would also let them know a bit about, the process of how the fertilization takes place and all that, with the hope that I will not get a follow-up question about how it happened. But at the end of the day, I think it's important that if we want to encourage a society that tells the truth, we must live by example. But then the question is, what harm will it do to let the 2-year-old know that an act took place? That's another question. Okay. But then again, I think there are ways of letting the person know that, okay, mommy and daddy love each other, they came together, and then the baby came. And when you grow up, you understand.
Now, when you grow up, you understand never works. But okay, now let me come to not sharing all the truth. I mean, if I have all the information and I refuse to share part of it with you, for example, like I'm selling a car, and you say, this car, is there anything I need to know? You say, oh yes, it runs well. I mean, it can go a very long distance, but you don't tell them the person that it consumes a lot of fuel. Is that lying? Is that lying per se?
The person asks, is there anything I need to know? So if the person needs to know, you should tell the person.
By withholding it, am I lying?
No, I'm saying that the person made a general statement. Is there anything I need to know? A general question. So you should tell the person everything about the car. If the person asks whether the engine is good, you say yes, that's all. If the person asks whether the tires are good, you say yes, that's all. But the person asks, is there anything I need to know? So you should tell the person everything.
So how about you? If I don't tell you that it consumes a lot of fuel, am I lying?
Yes.
Oh, why?
You didn't tell me the truth. I have to know. Because I'll be there and buying fuel like crazy. I'm like, what's all this?
But by not telling you, you see, they're definitely deliberately being untruthful. By not telling you, am I being untruthful?
Like, was it deliberate? Like, you didn't want to tell me because I'll say I won't buy it again.
Yes. So am I being deliberately untruthful?
I think we are mistaken. Being untruthful doesn't mean keeping quiet. It means saying something which is not true.
Yes, exactly.
But not saying anything at all is not lying.
It's not untruthful. What do you think? Or do you still hold your view that it's still lying?
It's still lying.
Before I come to Mrs. Mills, Roland, are you being untruthful when you say, I don't know? Or no, I don't know. You don't speak of it.
If I don't speak about it, then it simply means, maybe I'm keeping it to myself. Or, I mean, it's like you're running a business and saying something about that business is going to destroy it. Tell me if you're going to say something like that to just put your business off. Obviously, there are certain things you will do to, keep it going. Not that you are lying person. I don't know how to put it, but like, to me, I think there's truth and there's the brutal truth. Truth is like just saying it as it is, and maybe you are kind of like beating around the bush to say it. And then the brutal truth is like saying it even if it will hurt you. I mean, eventually everyone heals, so you're going to say.
All right. So, if somebody comes to school and they ask you, how do I look today? And they say, your hair was nice, but you know very well that their dress was short. You're hiding some of the information. Am I lying, Mrs. Mills, in that case?
Okay, when the person asks, how do I look? The person wants, it depends on the answer the person wants. That the person wants a holistic one from head to toe. If yes, then I think you'll be lying if you don't let the person know that, okay, there's something, wrong. But I want to add something to what my brother Roland said. You can say the truth, but in a very nice way. So I can decide to start with the positives and say, I like your hair, I think your shoes are neat, but I think your skirt is a bit short. So it depends on what the person is expecting me to say. If the person is my friend and wants a very honest critique of it, and I don't say it, fine. But if the person is only referring to one aspect of the outlook, the hair, and I say, I don't think it's
so by holding information, as per your definition, am I lying? By not telling him that the skirt is short or your jeans okay, I won't go there, but by not telling him that, am I saying that, am I lying if I don't tell you?
In this case, I think that it depends on what the information I'm withholding is going to do to the person. In the sense that in this case, if the person, like I said, if the person wants an honest critique, to be sure that the person is doing everything right, maybe the school rules forbid that the skirt is short, and comes and says, oh, okay, Anita, check my dress, I want to be sure, and I don't say anything, then I'm being dishonest. I'm lying to the person because there's a potential of the person being punished for that. But if it's just another scenario other than this, like, okay, the person has done something wrong and I'm not the one supposed to tell that person, okay, for reasons, obvious reasons, and I don't tell the person, that is not lying, in my opinion.
Okay, so can you give a scenario where you are not the one supposed to tell the person? I mean, I don't know, to our viewers it may not be so clear, so can you expand on that a bit?
Okay, for example, the passing away of a loved one. Because of how difficult the news is, very often they reserve it for specific people to announce. And so, for example, if my father passed away and you may not know how to handle that situation, and you've seen me, you have to desist from sharing that information until the right person comes to share the information, because perhaps if you share it, you may not be able to share it the way that it will help cool matters. So in matters of bereavement, like difficult, sad news, it's important you know your place. If you are not the one responsible for saying it, even in such situations, they intentionally select specific people, maybe a person who is, very eloquent, or a person they know is close to you can handle the situation. So that's an example, bereavement, sad news. And also, even in organizations, sometimes there are things that happen and they forbid employees from speaking because you are not the one supposed to speak on behalf of the organization. It's done to control the kind of information and to avoid misinformation. Maybe if you ask Kofi, Kofi will say A, you ask Reynald, you say B, in order to ensure that there is one voice. So there are instances where you are supposed to keep mute, not because you are lying, you are not lying, but it is not your responsibility to share such information. So you need to know your place when it comes to information sharing.
All right. That's very insightful.
Is it bad if you are asked a question and you make it be like you are unclear, like you are not sure yourself? Let's say maybe you know that my dad is dead, and I come and ask you, is my dad okay? And you're like, I don't know, it's been long since I heard from him. He probably
know very well that
but you know very well that he's dead. But you tell me that you don't really know, probably he's okay. Is it a lie?
Nancy, what do you think?
Yes, he's dead, so it's a lie.
So as you said, you should know your place. So in that case,
Can I come in? I have experienced losses before, and I remember when I lost my brother, I was in school, and the phone call was I should come home, my brother is not in a good place. Now in that case, the potential of me not handling myself well, if you tell me straight away, would be difficult. They wanted me to come home and announce it to me. It's quite unfortunate that on my way home, I checked my Facebook and it was already there. So that's how come I got to know. And it was difficult for me to handle it. So you can handle information the best way without lying. Okay, so for example, is my father okay? I think you need to talk to mommy about this. I'm not the best person to talk about it. Simple.
Do not insinuate curiosity, even cause their blood pressure to go up.
Sure, it will, but eventually the person would have to hear the information. But if you want to avoid lying, know your place and say, I think you need to talk to mommy about it. Lying is wrong, no matter the intention, it's wrong. But we need to realize that there is always a way out. It's just that in matters of, in situations where it's convenient for us, lying is very convenient. Quickly, the best thing. But in his case, or in the case of bereavement, you are thinking, hey, what if I tell the person and she collapses and she breaks down? What do I do? So we most often in our we are looking to free ourselves. It's all about us. Sometimes, how do I handle the situation? Sometimes too, it's about loved ones. But they say the truth hurts. So no matter what, you still have to tell the truth. It's hard to do.
Yeah, you always have to tell the truth because the truth shall set you free. I'm sure you're enjoying the discussion up to now. We're going on a quick break, and then we come back. We're going to discuss what can lying do to you. What are the negative impacts and positive, if there are any, of lying. Stay tuned, and we'll be back shortly.
So hi, it's me again, and you're welcome to another tip time. Today, we'll be talking about how to regulate our usage of social media. So, have you ever heard of the saying, out of sight, out of mind? Yeah, so if you do not want to use your social media apps that much, you can delete them from your phone or set specific time ranges where you use it, and you log out of them during the other times where you are not going to use them. Another option is to use apps that block these social media apps such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, all those apps. You can get such apps on the Play Store or App Store, and those apps will help you to regulate the amount of time you spend on these social media apps so you can focus your time on something more profitable. Another thing you can do is to spend an hour or more each week on a hobby or an activity that does not require a screen. You can pick up learning a musical instrument, learning how to swim, reading a book, all these things that you can do to make sure that your time is not always occupied by your phone or any gadgets or social media. Finally, when you're going to bed, please leave your phone outside your room. You might say, oh, but I put it on do not disturb, on all these blah blah blah. You put it off, you muted the app so you don't get notifications. But you might still be distracted and you might get like an urge to check something late at night, which will prevent you from sleeping and getting enough rest. Also, if your phone is with you, there's a high possibility that it will be the first thing you will check in the morning instead of having your personal devotion or reading something more profitable. So if you are going to bed, please leave your phone outside of your room. These are my tips on how to regulate your social media usage, and I hope they are helpful to you all. Thank you for listening and have an amazing day.
Hello, and you're welcome back from the break. Before we went on the break, we are come to discuss the consequences of lying.
Yeah,
and so
before we get to that, I have a question. So, assuming then there's this criminal, but then we don't have evidence to put him away, so then you frame him so that we get something to actually hold him for. Is that lying?
As in what? Frame, as in what?
Like, there's this pencil thief in your class. He's always stealing people's stuff. But then you haven't caught him, like, with people around that you can say that he did it. So you arrange with your friends, and one day you intentionally leave something there and you hide with the teacher around, and when he's just going in for it, you come out of the hiding place and be like, aha, you see?
Oh, I think now and then you've caught him, and so he's not necessarily lying, but this just even brought something to mind. So how about if you are saying something but you don't have concrete evidence to back it, making a claim, is it lying? I mean, because it could appear to be lying. You've seen somebody do it, but you don't have any evidence to prove that the person is actually the one who did it. Is it, Nancy? What do you think? Is it lying?
It's not lying.
Why?
If they didn't, with the pencil thief, if they didn't set him up, and he had just gone to say that, oh, Kofi has been stealing pencils. You are not lying. Actually, he steals the pencils.
But you don't have evidence to prove it.
But what you said is not a lie. That's what I'm trying to say.
But it
then
could be
need to
portrayed
hold
as
him
lying.
responsible for.
Yeah, so after you are
acts.
done telling, say, then maybe you set him up to get the evidence.
So if I'm catching you, you are saying that you would take the risk of being like portrayed as lying when you don't have any evidence. Mrs. Mills, how do you manage this kind of information too?
I would say that in telling the truth, we have to be very circumspect and discerning. In today's era, where before you make an accusation, you have to have evidence. You have to be circumspect. Reynolds gave a scenario of knowing someone is a criminal. How do you prove that the person is a criminal? It's similar to the investigative reports we have, ANAS, and all those things. And so it tells us that telling the truth, this even buttresses the points that telling the truth is not easy. Because you can't just go and say, I saw Kofi stealing, and there's no evidence that Kofi is stealing. It means that it's necessary for us to be very discerning, especially given the circumstance. And the fact that there is no evidence doesn't mean that it's also not true. There are so many things that for example, even the existence of God. Some people think because there is no concrete, to them, they think it's a lie, it's untrue. But it just, like I said, makes us understand that telling the truth comes with a lot of weight, and we need to be very discerning, especially when it comes to matters of legality. You can't just go and point fingers at somebody and say the person is a thief. You can't just go and point fingers at someone and accuse the person of something that is criminal without evidence. So we have to be very careful about the way we share truth.
All right. So that's it. You have to be very careful about the way we share truth. But before I want to make, we're saying positive and negative effects of lying. Can you pinpoint a positive effect of lying? Being honest, is there actually a situation where lying has its positive benefits, positive effects or benefits? Roland, what do you think? Are there positive effects of lying?
Yeah, there are positive effects of lying. A scenario is what I gave on, a quick example is what I gave on earlier about trying to save a friend. I mean, you are here asking like, there is a quote saying, trust takes lots of years to end, and then only a matter of seconds to lose. And so once you are with these group of boys, I mean, it doesn't mean they're always doing bad stuff, but then maybe there's this particular guy that you personally if they should give this punishment to him, he won't be able to handle it. So I think this is something moral. I mean, it's in your heart. You are feeling pity for him, so obviously you like to set him free. Yeah, I think that's one positive aspect of lying.
Nancy, are there even positive effects of lying?
Yes, also with my example, see, she lied to her sister, so now her sister is at peace.
So what if she's not even left and somebody kidnaps her?
Well, that's another situation. But she will be kidnapped, don't worry.
Have you considered any positive effects of lying?
Yes. Assuming you have a friend who has an abusive dad, maybe you go for a visit. Maybe the dad has a guitar and your friend wants to play you a song, and in the process of listening to the song, one of the strings gets broken. Then when the dad arrives, you are the one who went to mess with the guitar for that to happen. Because you know that if you told the truth, your friend is probably going to get a very good beating.
Yeah.
So that's a situation where lying is brings about good things. Mrs. Mills, what are your take on all these scenarios?
I believe that there's nothing positive in the true sense about lying.
But Reynolds' situation proves that there's something positive.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not sure you'd want your friend to get beaten.
It takes me back to the scenario in the Garden of Eden. At that moment, it seemed like she will not surely die. Indeed, like Roland said, the eyes were opened, but long-term wise, the consequences. So sometimes when we look at the immediate results, it seems as though it's positive. But let's look at you continuously lying to cover up someone. You know what it does? It encourages or enables the person to continue doing that act.
What if the person hasn't done any wrong acts? You are just covering up because the person happened to find himself in some
So in the case where the person hasn't done any wrong act, there's no even need to cover up. You only cover up what has been done wrong. So you would have to tell the truth. Like I said, it's because as humans we are looking at the immediate results. The immediate result is what? Temporary relief. Okay, like you're saying, your friend will not be beaten. But long-term wise, there are situations where people have covered up for friends on little vices, and they eventually become worse because they were not sort of penalized for those little ones, and they develop the habit of becoming who they are today. So the little drops will eventually become the mighty ocean. We are humans. Often we are just looking at the immediate consequence, but we are not looking at the future. The same person you are lying for today wouldn't want to work with you in future because you are a liar. Sometimes the very people you are covering up for will eventually not recommend you for something because they say, oh, that's what this my friend did. Menena, I know he can lie for the whole Ghana. So sometimes you think you are doing good for somebody, but eventually you are sort of creating an opinion for yourself. Your integrity is being doubted in the long term. People tell the truth. To be honest, let's be realistic. Telling the truth doesn't mean that you'll be free from consequence. Some people even lose their lives for telling the truth. But in the long run, when you tell the truth, your integrity is intact. The very people who will mock you will one day say, as for this girl, I know that even if the whole world, people will lie, this person I can trust. That sometimes accusations come, and because you are so truthful, people will defend you and say, as for Kofi, I know Kofi will never do this thing. But from the beginning, it seems like you are on your own. So I will encourage that when we are addressing lying, we look at not only the immediate consequence. A typical example is Abraham. When he lied about Sarah, in his mind, he was protecting his wife. But had God not intervened, the king would have taken his wife, Sarah, and the consequences would have been worse. So sometimes we think we are smart. We think we know ahead what will happen. But sometimes it will eventually lead to a place where God has already foreseen. He knows that if you tell the lie, it will happen this way. But we are looking at the immediate consequence. So lying, in my opinion, is never positive. I think that you choose to lie for your own reasons, but it doesn't make it right. And nothing bad can be good. In and of itself, it's bad.
All right. Well, he said in theory, lying has no good effects. Well, we have a scenario that says otherwise. Rena is going to read it for us. It's called from Dr. Samuel Cranting's presentation to the GYC 2005, Faithful Until Death. And so Reynard will read it for us and would discuss whether there are no positive effects of lying according to Mrs. Mills.
Okay, so you are a Christian living in an Islamic state. The law of your land does not allow citizens to be converted to another religion. Any conversion should be immediately reported to the police or risk severe punishments. You have just been converted to a Christian faith. Your aged parents are not pleased with your decision, but they plan to protect you, provided you don't betray them. They instruct you that whenever you are arrested and questioned, you must deny that they know about your conversion. You've been arrested and are being interrogated. The Bible teaches that you must not lie. The same Bible also teaches children to honor thy father and thy mother. Will it be right under these circumstances for you to lie to the interrogating security officers in order to honor your parents and also save them from severe punishments?
All right. Nancy, what you have done?
Yes, I'd have lied to them.
You'd have lied. After all we said.
Honor your father and mother so that days may be long on the earth with your...
And honor thy father and mother is the greatest commandment of all.
Thank you very much.
The first commandment is the promise. So, Mrs.
I
Mills.
think we leave something out. Honor thy father and mother in the Lord.
But that's children, obey your parents in the Lord.
In the Lord. So let's be honest, let's be realistic. Parents are like dear to us. I won't lie. It will be a very difficult situation for me. I wouldn't want to put my parents in the same heat that I am in, but I think I wouldn't talk. If it will mean me going down alone, I will go down alone. I personally think my conversion should be my headache and not my parents.
But they've covered you up, so they ask you who is keeping you, who is helping you. You know very well somebody is helping you, and by not saying it,
choose not to
by
talk.
not speaking, are you not lying? Based on what you discussed,
But then,
are they really being untruthful or why not?
I'm not sure. I'm sure God will pardon that, because first of all, you converted into a Christian, so you are doing it for Him. So it's like putting those you love in danger because you decide to choose God.
Is it not like Rahab's situation?
Yes.
So does the Bible justify Rahab? If it does, then maybe it will justify the situation. Mrs. Mills, what do you think?
What I think is that Rahab did lie. The Bible justifies her faith and not her lie. And the faith is what we find in the verses 8 to 11, where she declares her knowledge about the God of the Israelites and how she has heard of how He took them out of, all their troubles. And so it's important for us in our discussion about Rahab to be sure what Rahab was being justified for. We read Hebrews chapter 11, verse 31. It says, by faith. Okay, so it's quite easy for us to think that the Bible justifies Rahab's lie, even though the Bible is silent on it. It is her faith. Does Rahab lying make it right? No.
So does that mean it's right? It's not right to lie in this situation.
I'll say it's not right to lie in any situation because God says so, but we choose to do it out of convenience.
Okay, so what if you just don't talk?
Yes,
exactly.
Is that not lying?
Exactly. I think you have the right to hold your peace. When you are even arrested, you are told you have every right to remain silent. Anything you say will be used against you. There are times when you are questioned and you choose not to speak for purposes of one, maybe what you say may not be in the best way or anything. Your silence cannot be misconstrued, but immediately you speak, what you say is what will be used against you.
Yes, I agree with you, because even in the interrogation of Jesus, you remember that there were times when they accused him and he just sat there quietly. So it's not necessarily lying. You can just hold your peace to avoid any further confrontations. I'm sure we'd all agree on that. I'm sure it's been a very interesting ride for you, our viewers. You've learned a lot on lying, that sometimes it's best to hold your peace. Sometimes you need to know your place in delivering information, but it is never acceptable to lie. You may think, oh, I'm covering up for a friend. But as Mrs. Mills said, the friend you are covering up for today will not recommend you for a job, and they'll see your integrity be tainted, and it is never acceptable to lie. Lying is always black and white, but you should be circumspect about it. You don't always have to talk, and you just have to hold your peace, and it will save you a lot of trouble. It is not easy to tell the truth. I'm not going to say I'm going to tell the truth every time. Who knows? As I'm going out right now, I'm going to tell a lie. But you just have to pray that God will strengthen you so that you would always be able to tell the truth. Thank you so much for watching our show today. Mrs. Mills, anyone you want to give a shout out to? Anyone you know who's watching you today?
Most definitely. I want to give a shout out to my dear husband, Mr. Raymond Mills, and also to my ADRA family, and to the entire Seventh-day Adventist fraternity and all the youths. I say hello to you all, and I do hope that we are blessed by the
All right. Thank you so much for tuning in today. It's been a pleasure having you on our show. And until our next time, we want you to stay home as much as possible and stay safe from this COVID virus. It's not gone. God bless you.